because someone's sharing a problem, it's not my job to have a solution for them. It's not my role.
Mm.
My role is to be there with them and then ask them, so, what have you done? What's going on? What do you plan to do? Is there something you need to do? Is there some way I can support you? What's the best way for me to do that? Those kinds of questions need to come up before we start just offering advice, suggestions. Well, if I were you, this is what I'd do.
Mm.
But I'm not you. You're
Yeah.
not me.
So,
We
so
have different life experience. Let's see what actually is relevant to that person.
yeah, totally. And like all of this is really, I mean, this is all true and this is all fabulous. But in reality, I don't think that most people have been taught these skills, and whether they're actually in these helping professions, some of them like the doctors, or whether you're just a friend or a parent or um, or just a colleague, a lot of people don't have these skills. So
Well,
they don't,
they might have them,
but
but
they
they're
don't.
not employing them.
That's
Yeah,
right, because they
because
haven't.
there's a sense of urgency, right? So if you're seeing a doctor, somehow there's this belief that, wow, this is urgent, or if someone's a problem, in urgency versus, okay, let's assess the situation. Is this person's life or existence under threat, in danger? No? Then we have more time than we think. Then we can slow things down and start to, ask questions and explore their situation with them.
I mean,
So,
it's really interesting because what comes up for me as we're talking about this is also the idea of of conflict and what we believe, either as the person being supported or the person supporting or caring or over caring, whatever way that it's termed, is what they believe their needs are at that particular moment without thinking it through, without listening maybe to this conversation and this discussion or going, into it any deeper. They feel a strong needs in the particular moment. And so if the person who is the person who's generally or is the caring position, and the other person feels this need to know what to do and how to get them out of that situation, etc., and the carer went more on the line of asking the questions, looking at the process, but not giving them a solution, is there a chance that it causes possible conflict because that person is so anxious or irritated and just wants to know what to do? And on the flip side, is there also a possible conflict with a person supplying a solution and the other person just needing to be heard and someone to be there and someone to inquire as opposed to give them a solution? So there's a number of possible scenarios that come up that can possibly cause conflict. So what does someone do, and how is someone to know what is the best way to approach a situation?
a good question. Yeah. And, conflict happens, but doesn't mean conflict is bad. It just
Mm.
means our expectations are not being met by each other. And so now we have to have a conversation, negotiate these expectations that are implied but never really discussed. We don't have contractual arrangements with our friends or our parents. They're all there. It's not until someone didn't live up to our expectation that there's a problem. So then we have to reveal what are those expectations. So with a friend, if they're sharing a problem and that friend is expecting you to give them advice to help them feel relief or get them out of their discomfort, and we're the friend who's like, no, I'm not gonna do that because I don't have an answer for you. I don't, you have an answer. Let's help you kind of reveal that. You have the knowledge, but we can't solve problems when we're stuck in it. We can't see anything beyond the problem.
Mm.
So friend is in a great position to have take an objective point of view, an objective perspective in that person's life, and start to investigate, well, what else is going on? What is the other information that this friend of mine isn't considering? And so to do that, we have to state and go, I feel that you want me to have an answer for you, and I don't have that answer for you because I don't know everything that's going on. And it's not helpful for me to go into the story with you and be there with you and swim with you in that because I can't help you there. I'm going to be in there with you. I'm drowning with you. So how about, would it be helpful if we talked a bit more about things? So it's like just asking that. Or
Mm.
what are you wanting from me in this situation? What are you wanting from me right now? Would it be helpful if I gave you advice? Would it be helpful if I just asked some more questions? Do you want me to listen? Like we can ask these questions and we don't always think to do that because of that urgency. They need me now, so I need to give them what they need.
Yeah. And I suppose the word that comes to mind when you shared all that was empowerment. So, it's so common these days to have, and I think it tends to be used more, the word seems to be used more around women, but I'm sure that it occurs across the board, about people feeling disempowered, and they don't often know that they've actually disempowered themselves until they're in that point of disempowerment, or that their soul feels like it's going through the earth and that they don't have that confidence, that real confidence to be able to solve a situation themselves or to take that responsibility themselves, because they're actually put themselves in a position of kind of lowering their inner power, or not being able to access their inner power, so feeling quite disempowered. And so when you shared all that about, a friend just giving a solution, or a healthcare practitioner just giving a solution, and even the person at that point wanting that solution, the alarm bells for me go off of, disempowerment, or the person just has lost their inner power. And there's so many, and I see it all the time with my clients, and I'm sure you do with yours, that a lot of the ripple effects of the problems that they have in their work or their relationships or their health even come from that feeling of disempowerment.
Yeah, so we give our power, we outsource our power to other people when we're feeling uncertain and insecure and doubtful about our situation or our ability to solve problems or to navigate, maneuver through these obstacles that life presents. And the disempowerment, it's just a perceived thing. It's not real. We all have power. Power is not dependent on money. We all have the ability to take steps in life, move forward. I mean, we've gotten this far.
It's our birthright.
Doesn't matter if someone else hasn't, achieved the things I've achieved. They're still here. So something is within them is enabling them to get through. Whether they've recruited lots of people to look after their needs or that they're able to do it themselves most of the time, doesn't matter. They're powerful. We're all powerful. So as soon as we start believing I'm helpless, I don't know what to do, I need someone to take over and just do this for me, we're giving our power away. And it's incredibly draining, not just for the person who's, needing that help, but it's also draining for the person who steps in and takes too much control or control of the situation for that person.
Yeah.
Because now they're forgetting that we're all powerful and that we all have abilities and capabilities and competencies, and we just need somebody sometimes to help us remind us of those things. And then we can go, all right, because I have these skills or these abilities, I know how to take these steps, or someone can help me develop the steps to take to come out of this situation. And it's more of a coaching.
Yeah, I do.
And I think we feel powerless because of this sense of uncertainty. I think the foundation of all our worries is uncertainty. And there's no certainty in life, except eventually we're going to have a physical death. And everything from birth to death is just all up in the air. We have no idea.
The only thing that's certain is uncertainty.
That's right. And the only thing that's constant is change.
Yep.
So we're every moment to moment is possibility that anything can happen. And so because we don't know what's going to happen from moment to moment, we need to take control. We need to feel like we're in control. So when we have a friend who's feeling out of control, sometimes we step in and we want to take control so that we feel better.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with them. It's about how we feel.
Totally. And that's what I was actually going to bring up then, is it actually a selfish act almost to be caring for someone else when ultimately I suppose you feel or you want to believe that your intentions are all about the other person, but perhaps a lot of what you're doing and your patterns are actually about yourself.
Yeah, so you hear the statement, but my intentions were good and I didn't do anything wrong. Like I hear that a lot. And the intentions are good, but there's that saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, because there's a difference between good and bad versus, or intending to harm or intending to do good versus purity of intention. And what I mean by purity is that I'm going to do what is my role to restore a sense of justice or peace, or do what's necessary to help this situation and the person within the situation. But it doesn't mean I'm going to do what's necessary so that I feel good about myself or I feel better about the situation. It has nothing to do with me. If I'm in a helper or caring position, it's about them. It's what's best for them. And it's not what I think is best for them, is what they believe is best for them. And all I can do is support them, even if I disagree with their choices, because it's not my life, it's theirs. I'm not responsible for their decisions and their feelings. They are. So for me to really stay in my power and enable them to express their power, it has to be about them. And that's purity of intention. It's that I'm there for them to benefit their situation. And however I benefit is actually irrelevant, has nothing to do with me. And so often with, the health practitioners who come to see me for sessions, and they're debriefing about some of the things that they've experienced with their patients or their colleagues, it's like they get a glimpse into someone's life. And because they're doctors, they're not hearing about good things. People are not coming to hospitals because everything's great. They're there because there's something not working well.
That's right.
Or something that there's uncertainty. And so day in and day out, these health practitioners are only really seeing a lot of distress, suffering, pain, and they're not seeing anything else and everything else. So this person shares their problem. The doctor or the nurse or whatever health practitioner gives them what they need. The patient walks out feeling better, but sometimes the doctor stays with the problem stays with the doctor, or the problem stays with that friend. So there's been this unequal exchange, because now this patient or the friend walks off feeling better, and we're stuck with the problem because we're caring too much. We only see what they're telling us. We're not looking at all the other great things that could be happening for them. The patient can leave the hospital and be jumping for joy, or outside of the consult, they have a family friend visiting and they're laughing. Like, it's not all drama and negativity.
Yep.
Life is rich and it's filled with both negative and positivity. But if we're only focused on the negative, then we're going to try to solve problems with only the negative data that we have. We're not looking at a bigger picture. We're not being objective. So we're basing our decisions and our actions on limited data, but not enough data.
Yeah.
So we have to make an effort to see that person as powerful and whole, that there's nothing wrong with them, that the problem may not even be a problem. It's just perception, or, there's something that makes it seem like a problem. So how can I help them and myself continue to see this person as powerful and whole, and not make a whole bunch of assumptions that they need me and that I'm there, I need to be there for them so that I feel better about myself and I feel better about their situation, because it's nothing about them, it's about me.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm here to serve, and it's about them.
So the thing really, a lot of it boils down to responsibility. So, I mean, we talked before a little bit, we mentioned about the person who's being supported in any situation. We talked about them taking ownership or self-responsibility, but it's also the responsibility of the practitioner or the friend or the parent or whoever to consider what's really important about, or what the needs are for that other person, and responsibility to also look at them as a whole, and responsibility to inquire more about their situation or their life circumstance than just maybe the problem at hand that has been presented.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like what you said, curiosity, being interested in their life, being interested in their experience, instead of, using our assumptions about what they might be going through, and, even over personalizing, if their story is similar to something that happened to you, then you start to remember what it was like for you, and then you superimpose your experience on theirs.
Yeah,
but
so you project.
It's not accurate. It's their experience is unique. Even if a story is similar, their experience of it is going to be unique. Nothing's ever going to be the same between two people.
That's right. Because they're bringing different things to the situation. They've had a different upbringing. They've got different patterns. They experience emotions differently. They, have certain go-to emotions that you do differently, etc.
Yeah.
So, the situation's different. So, that's probably a really important thing that people have to be aware of, projecting their feelings and their emotions